In the news this week, East Perth residents seek Strata legal advice as the Cook government renovates hotel into a public housing tower. We have exclusive details about the next legal steps.
Also tonight, the soul-searching continues for the coalition as opposition seeks relevance following the election defeat. Peter Kennedy's analysis. And jailed for life over the young boy's death, Judgement Day over the death of First Nations teenager Cassius Turvey. And later, Dr. Andrew Miller's comment.
This is The Evening News with Ivan Loom and Maliva Thorne.
Good evening. Queen's Riverside residents in East Perth have told WAMA News exclusively that they will pursue legal advice to amend their building strata bylaws in response to the Cook government's decision to convert the neighbouring Fraser Suite Hotel into public housing. While residents support integration, they are pushing for new rules to protect community safety and potential risks, arguing that the project was announced without consultation.
Legal on the strata side of things, are you confident that you can do anything at all?
I believe we can, but from a strata perspective, not from not changing the decisions of the new owner, setting up new bylaws to allow for, I guess, a better integration of social housing, and that the current residents and the new residents that come through social housing will have the best, I guess, opportunity to have an enjoyable lifestyle here.
Any specific things that you want to look into?
I think security and access. So we've had a lot of issue with like our car park, our swipe access and things like that. A lot of issue when it comes to like small apartments having big parties and noisy neighbours and things like that. That those things will occur more. And I think that there needs to be, I guess, more control to allow for all of community well-being.
Looking into the legal in strata, what can be actually done precisely?
I think it's around understanding I guess, with the new stakeholder being state government and social housing, that's very different to a hotel. We have a lot of shared space together. We have a lot of shared common areas that some of those security, safety things need to be considered for all community, including the new social housing.
You have chased people down for stealing bikes and everything. Can you share your experience in that?
Myself personally, I've chased out 5 criminals from stealing bikes and other things. I've been assaulted myself. I've been sworn up, spat on. I've been a lot of things because I think as a community we have to look out for each other. I'm not saying that social housing brings that. And I think what will happen is it needs to be that other people are going to have to step in, not just me and other people that are doing it now. It needs to come from the state government and others to really step up and think about community safety and, I guess, community well-being as a whole.
What sort of commitment do you want from them?
So the commitment would be that there's going to be additional infrastructure or I guess controls needed in the building around security and safety. There'll be additional access controls, there'll be additional insurances that come with social housing. There's going to be a lot of additional, I guess, unknown expenses and work activities and plans that we haven't been planned out yet. And there's no one better than local community to understand all that and learn from what we've done by living here in the last over 10 years.
Last but not least, some people will say that typical NIMBY word. You're not NIMBY, aren't you?
Oh, definitely not. Myself, I created the East Perth Action Group with other people. We are a community group, and myself personally and a lot of the residents here, about making it better for community. We are supportive of St Bart's 2, we're supportive of Common Grounds, we're supportive of better culture and safety for all of community. And I think that's what we're trying to do here. It's not trying to stop social housing, it's knowing that there's other things that you need to focus on. The state government, from their proven record, and a good example being Inglewood, that if they don't put good controls in place from inception through operation and keep well track and stop playing red tape and playing with the red tape, that there will be a good outcome for all residents.
2 months following the federal election, the dust has finally settled within the coalition as the Liberals and Nationals prepare for a long stint in opposition. As the party continues their soul-searching journey, leader Sussan Ley is facing an uphill battle, particularly in the issue of nuclear energy. Here is Peter Kennedy.
Let's look at domestic issues, and very important as far as the opposition is concerned, that it get its act together to hold the federal government to account. And that is why Sussan Ley on the Liberal side and also David Littleproud on the National Party side need to work together. There are indications that after the initial split, straight after the election, that they will be able to work together. Very important as far as the politics of Australia are concerned, very important for the opposition to be able to hold the government to account. So if they can do that, and there are signs that they are getting their act together, then that will be good as far as the balance in Australian politics are concerned. However, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and we'll have to wait and see our assessment on that. The issue of power in Australia is a major problem for both sides of politics, and the issue of containing power prices on both sides of the country is a major issue. And as the plan is to phase out coal, will that occur as the scheduled phase out has been made? Will that occur that way? That's the challenge, and that's the great uncertainty. There is enormous uncertainty about the capacity of the energy both sides of the country. And will coal be phased out as planned? What about natural gas? Well, natural gas is now being seen as essential for a lot longer than had originally been anticipated. And what about renewables? The cost of renewables is seen to be extraordinary. And that is why people say renewables are the cheapest form of energy. The next question is, why is the price of energy going through the roof? That's the challenge. Where is the role of nuclear in there? Well, that's a matter for the private sector rather than being forced on the community. Let the release the shackles on nuclear power, and let the market decide whether nuclear power it will be a factor in the Australian power mix. But it's a period of great uncertainty, and the sooner it's resolved, the better. Peter Kennedy, WAMNU.
2 men have been sentenced to life in prison for the 2022 murder of 15-year-old First Nations schoolboy Cassius Turvey, who was brutally beaten with a metal pole while walking home from school in Perth. Jack Brearley, 24-year-old man, received a minimum 22-year term, while accomplice Brodie Palmer, 30-year-old, was sentenced to a minimum of 18 years. Although Palmer did not strike Cassius, he was found equally responsible. Mitchell Forth, 27-year-old man, received 12 years for manslaughter and other offences, including assault and abduction. 2 others, Alicia Gilmore and Ethan McKenzie, were convicted for related assaults. Chief Justice Peter Quinlan condemned the attackers' actions, calling them callous and lacking moral empathy, and said their conduct caused fear among Aboriginal communities. He described Cassius as completely innocent and rejected claims the attack was justified. Cassius' mother, Michelle Turvey, delivered a powerful victim impact statement, describing her son's death was racially motivated vigilantism.
Deputy Premier and Treasurer Rita Saviotti justified the reasons behind the increased spending in education following last week's state budget. It comes after WAMN News' annual budget priority poll showed the Cook Labor government missed the public's second top priority, cost of living relief, due to the removal of the $400 electricity credit and a spike in education spending. Western Australia's population has increased over 300,000 in the last 5 years, and the Treasurer says spending growth in schools are needed to catch up with the demand.
We try and balance all of our expenditure, whether it be cost of living, whether it be supporting key services in education. We had a massive increase in education because of the incredible enrolment increases, together with supporting students with disability also in the classroom. So there's an extraordinary demand. We aim to balance all the demand, deliver quality services, really make further inroads in housing, and this is a major initiative that we're very proud of, to be able to deliver 200 extra homes for Western Australians in one purchase is something we haven't seen before. So we're continue trying to balance the incredible demand we have in the state. This is a growing state, growing population, growing aspirations. We need to continue to work to help deliver to the community.
In a significant milestone for Australia's naval capability, The Royal Australian Navy has officially commissioned HMAS Aerophora, the first of its new Aerophora-class offshore patrol vessel into active service. The ceremony, held this weekend in Fremantle, marks a key step into Australian government's implementation of the Surface Fleet Review, aimed at modernising and expanding the Navy's operational strength. HMAS Aerophora and its sister vessels will patrol Australia's vast maritime borders, conduct humanitarian missions and enhancing regional engagement. With a range of 4,000 nautical miles, these vessels bring improved versatility, endurance and enhanced living conditions for personnel. HMAS Aerophora was constructed at the Osborne Shipyard in South Australia, with additional OPVs under construction at Henderson in Western Australia. Defence leaders hailed the commissioning as a turning point in naval shipbuilding and capability, delivering on a national strategy to protect Australia's interest and support its maritime workforce.
If you thought Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, was fiction, then think again. The Pilbara town of Port Hedland put on glad rags last weekend for their Pride in Portside event. NADA TV reporter Tangiora Hinaki joined the crowds.
Port Hedland came alive over the weekend with colour, music and unity marking the end of Pilbara Pride Week. Organised by Flags Plus, the Pride in Portside event brought together locals and visitors for a community parade, family-friendly activities and a celebration of diversity in the region.
We're incredibly lucky to have great support both in Hedland but also across WA and even across Australia this year. We have acts that have come through from Darwin, from Sydney, from the Gold Coast. Takes a village, but it pays off. We've just seen some amazing events this week.
Among the guests was Tutu Solomon Tefaiti, who travelled from Perth to be part of the celebrations.
I love Port Hedland because it reminds me of my hometown back home. Each year that we come and celebrate Pride, it gets bigger and better. Moving forward and evolution is really important, and I think that everyone is jumping on board whilst educating themselves on Pride, which is always a great thing, yeah.
Organisers say the strong turnout shows the growing support for LGBTQIA+ inclusion in the Pilbara, and they're already looking ahead to next year. Tangiora Hinaki reporting from Marapakurinya for NADA News.
Tangiora Hinaki with that report. And now here's Dr. Andrew Miller with his weekly medical and news commentary.
Hi, thanks for your time. I got influenza A last week and I can recommend against it. I had a vaccine back in April, but still managed to pick it up and get a less severe version of the illness than I would have had without the vaccine. It meant that I didn't risk ending up in hospital with pneumonia, for example. But I still certainly felt pretty crook for a few days and ended up taking a couple of days off work. It's a cough afterwards, which is a bit of a dry cough, needing a bit of inhaler to try and reduce the amount of spasm in the lungs. And a reminder that it's a bad flu season here in Australia, as well as a bad COVID season, and that it's best to be up to date with both of those vaccinations. So if you haven't taken care of it yet, if for no other reason than to reduce your own chances of ending up in an already overloaded hospital system, I certainly recommend it, and it'll make you much more comfortable in the long run if you do get unlucky and manage to inhale one of those viruses while you're out and about. I also had a birthday, which is always a good reminder that the important things in life have very little to do with work and money and property markets and all of those sort of things. They really have to do with whoever the people are around you who are wishing you a happy birthday and singing the song. So to you and all your families, stay healthy out there, look after one another, and we'll get through this winter of viruses. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Remember to subscribe to the WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue working in the community. Full details on wamnnews.com.au/news/extra. From Paige and Peter, myself, wish you good health, good night. See you next week.
Melly will be back next week. Thank you so much for watching.